The filter-free diary. Uh,
Good morning. It's 9:37 and I woke up not too long ago. My horror data is like awesome. Like I'm almost at the bottom of level 3. I'm just so grateful. So grateful, thank you so much. Okay, so today actually going to talk about temperature, which not for nothing is a direct result of sun pressure. Sun pressure, heat pressure, light pressure. Because having been born up northish and then living in New York for like 30 some odd years and then moving to Florida for like almost 10 years and then coming back up here, you know, I experienced the cold, obviously, and then the transition into the heat, and then the, you know, the regulation, the acclimation to the cold. I mean, the heat and the cold. The heat for 10 glorious, wonderful, I was so happy years. And then the transition back into the cold. Because not for nothing, when you're born in the cold, you don't really have a concept of anything but the cold, right? Like, it never occurred to me that floors could not be cold, that you could have warm floors. That really, honestly, never occurred to me. It always occurred to me the floors will always be cold because floors are on the bottom and heat rises. Well, in Florida, the fucking ground is warm, so your floors are actually warm. That's fucking awesome. And therein lies the accessibility of bare feet. Because when the floor is freezing cold, only crazy people walk barefoot on cold floors. I'm not crazy. I have socks on. I'm not doing shoes. I have a whole thing about shoes. We can't get into that. But we might get into that because technically when the ground is warm, you don't even really need shoes. Florida's not like Australia. You don't see people barefoot everywhere, but you will occasionally see people barefoot or wearing like the smallest sandal that is like, is that a sandal? Yes. Because when it's warm, you don't need to bind your feet to keep them from freezing. But up north, when it's fucking cold, of course you want to bind your feet because you know how hard it is to walk on numb pegs? Numb pegs suck. My pegs are numb right now. My pegs have been numb for a fucking week. I turned up the heat, and you know what? Not for nothing, the air is warmer, but the floor is still frozen, and you want to know why? Because the ground, the earth is still frozen. Here's another thing about significant changes with heat pressure. In Florida, if I spilled some water, I didn't even worry about it. In 5 minutes, that water would be evaporated, and I was just, whatever. Like, why transfer the water to the towel? Because in 5 minutes, the water's going to leave the towel anyways. So that's the thing. Heat pressure constantly keeps water in the air. Here, the air is so dry, my skin cracks and breaks and cries all the time. And I'm constantly like putting a layer of oil on, especially when I get out of the shower because, you know, the water is still got the same poisons in it. So I'm like trying to dry all that off with the towel and then coat myself in the oil to try to retain some of the moisture in my skin, because even though there is no heat pressure here, the air is so dry, so incredibly dry, because the heat can't support water staying in the air. And why does that matter? Because my hair is drying out more, my face is drying out more. It is literally just slowly pulling moisture from my skin all the time because there's no moisture in the air. And the reason there's no moisture in the air is because the ground is cold. Well, my body is warm, so the moisture comes off my skin instead of coming up out of the frozen ground. So there's another difference with no heat pressure, just the change in the water. And the last one I'm going to mention is the food. Because down south I had to eat cold food and drink a lot of water, and it thinned out my blood so that I was actually running like a coolant through my system all the time. Here I'm still drinking the same amount of water, but I'm freezing because my coolant is cold. And I'm not keeping that furnace going inside my body because I'm not eating all the time. And I forgot that's the thing you can do in the north. You can eat a whole lot more food, and the reason you can eat a whole lot more food is because you gotta keep this fucking thing warm because nothing else around you is fucking warm. You're your own little sun up here. And it sucks. Because I don't want to eat that much food because I don't want to feel that heavy. I want to drink more water, but then I just keep thinning myself out and I'm running coolant. And I really need to not run coolant through my system right now. So instead of eating salads and wraps and sandwiches, cold sandwiches, lettuce, tomato sandwiches, I'm heating up potatoes. I'm eating hot potatoes, and I'm cooking pasta, and I'm cooking all this hot, heavy food, and it's staying like fucking coals in my stomach, and I just trying to figure out how to balance everything so I still want to move and walk around, but I don't want to freeze. Heat pressure. It's such a serious thing when you don't have it. But you wouldn't know it unless you had it once. Yeah. Have a good morning.